What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Strength for Your Purpose podcast. Hope you had a fantastic week. I know I did. This is really cool. I think, I got to think really hard before I say this because I don't want to leave anybody out. No, this is definitely not the first two times I've had authors on, but this is the first time where we've had authors back to back on podcast episodes. So last week's episode was an author as well, Elizabeth Hamilton Greeno, the Change Guidebook. Definitely go check that out. And actually, we're talking a little bit about some change here this week too, just in a little bit more of a specific way, with another author, an author of this book that I'm holding right here called Butt Kickers. So if you're in YouTube land, you can see that book. And I am so excited to be joined by Joanna NicciTina, as she goes by. This is fantastic. I love this. And Joanna is a dedicated smoker turned butt kicker, obsessed with freedom of choice, yours and everyone else's. Whether writing books, putting recruitment cards in public ashtrays, doing stand-up comedy, tapping in a coffee house or conference, or walking in the streets and smoking areas dressed as a giant drag-inspired cigarette butt, it's all about freedom, tobactivism, and fun. I love that. Joanna, thank you so much for joining me here on the podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to talk about this. Us getting together has been a long time coming, with a little here, there, and everywhere on both of our ends. But I'm glad we get to do this because I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about your story and how you came to write this book, because this definitely, I can tell by digging into this that it really comes from a place of passion and a place of kind of personal, triumph for you, and an inspiration that you wanted to help others with. So I really can't wait to hear a little bit more about this. Tell us a little bit more about your story and getting to this point of writing Butt Kickers.
Okay. Well, thank you, first of all, just the opportunity to be here with you and to talk about this, and in the context of all that you do as well around wellness and helping people to live their best life, really. So I appreciate you a lot. And
thank you.
I just want to start with that. Let's see, Butt Kickers. So this was the book that I wanted, really. I mean, ultimately, I couldn't have written it back then, but when I was going through the process of stopping smoking myself, I read so many things, and I took classes, workshops, and all these things that I was doing in an attempt to get free when I finally got to that point where I was ready to do that. And I was pretty sure that I couldn't. No, I take that back. I was certain that I couldn't. I would have put money on the odds. I would have bet against myself.
Oh, wow.
That's how discouraged I felt, because my earlier attempts had been like less than a day, and I would just feel so uncomfortable with the withdrawal process, and I just thought I was losing it. I didn't understand what was happening for me, and I felt super discouraged. And so I wanted a book, a simple, clear book that would give me guidance. And I read a lot of books. I read some books that were just these great big books about how to stop smoking. Then I read other books that just, they weren't these giant tomes, but they also weren't, they just didn't get it done for me. And so this is the book I wanted. And it's really, it's intended for people who, I'm not here to recruit people who love smoking.
Sure.
It's really a book that's intended for people who want to stop, whether they believe they can or not. I believe they can. And hopefully I express that clearly in the book. So I just wanted it to be really, really clear and to give a variety of ways to get there.
I like that. And I could definitely tell that from looking through the book here, that variety factor really seemed to be a big point to me. And I think that is important, because it's already an overwhelming process for people to stop something they're addicted to, like truly, physically, mentally, emotionally addicted to. And the big thick textbook style guide to quitting smoking is there are certain people that are going to like dive into that and like, I need to learn all the things to make this happen. And there are certain people that are going to look at that as just another hurdle as to why they shouldn't quit
Yeah.
or shouldn't stop smoking to begin with. I just said the word quit, and I want to talk to you about your thoughts about that too. That's a little preface to what we're gonna talk about here. But I think that variety is key. And I'm just talking from just a overarching perspective of any change that we're trying to make in our life that's going to be hard to do. But especially in this situation, I think having a lot of different avenues to figure out what is going to be good external motivation and internal motivation for you to get out of something you're addicted to is pretty important.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. And for, just recognizing that it's challenging change. You work with people around change too. So, and meet that resistance as well.
Yeah. The one thing that's lucky for what I do is people aren't physically, mentally, or emotionally addicted to being in pain. So we do still have to work around some habits for sure, but it's nothing that is usually isn't as deeply rooted as something like being addicted to smoking. So actually let's get into that idea of quitting smoking, because I know from chatting with you and from the book that quit smoking is not something that is not a phrase that you're in love with this process. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Thanks for catching that. Yeah, quitters. Who's a quitter? Who wants to be a quitter?
Yeah.
It feels like a word that the tobacco industry came up with, frankly, to describe people who don't smoke anymore. They're quitters, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Doesn't it?
Yes. I've never thought of it that way, but yes, that was like a light bulb moment when you just said that. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, it's a negative right off the bat. And so, for some people you could say, well, I quit that. And that can sound like a powerful thing, but more often when we think about what it means to be a quitter, it's not a positive association. And when I think about, like, that's really one of the hardest things I've done in my life, was stopping smoking, in a huge part because I didn't know how. So I was just stumbling around and finding my way. And so, and just taking lots of different kinds of advice and, just trying to do it the best I could. To call that quitting,
Yeah.
whose idea was that? Was that Philip Morris?
Sure.
So yeah, and that's why the word, I like the word butt kicker instead, because it also describes somebody who's anywhere on the spectrum. It could also be somebody who helps other people stop. Like, you could be a butt kicker, whether you've ever used tobacco, nicotine or not, right? And a butt kicker can also be a path to get there too, like any one of the 20 ways that are listed in the book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and I'd much rather be a butt kicker than a quitter.
100%. Who wouldn't? I mean, again, I love the term, because it you can actually apply that to a lot of different things. But I love that you intertwined both being the person who stops smoking and also someone who can help people stop smoking. That's really cool, and it's very empowering. My mind immediately went to, with anytime we're making changes. I actually had a conversation about almost this exact thing with a client today. You've had headaches, jaw pain, neck pain for 20 something years, this person.
Wow.
And already making headway in the process. So when it's a bad day, things flare up. Don't beat yourself up trying to figure out why it flared up. Let's just focus on the things you can do to kick its butt, right?
Yes.
just kind of shift the focus on the things that have been working to get the improvement we've seen thus far, and see if in a bad day that actually helps us turn a bad day into not as bad of a day, right? So it's that idea of kind of flipping that mindset a little bit. It's a very common theme on the podcast here, actually. So, flipping our mindset out of the gate of how we're mentally going about this process, I think can be pretty powerful for people.
Yeah. And mindset is huge, isn't it?
Mm,
whether you're talking about the kind of change that you help bring about, or around butt kicking, that mindset. You notice I spend a lot of time talking about the words that we use, because
mm,
I don't know how many times I've had somebody say to me, I'd really like to stop smoking, but I can't.
mm.
That can't just is like a giant boulder in the road as they're going forward.
Yeah.
I said, stop using that word. Otherwise, you've just created another barrier for yourself. Right.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So when you say that to that patient, I think about how now they get out of feeling like, what did I do wrong? Right. And now they're looking at, oh, this is what used to be normal. And now I'm doing what I can to move on from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really,
Yeah.
it's a
No, no,
nice
no,
training.
exactly. It, yeah, it can be very powerful, but that mindset shift can be
Yeah.
almost as hard to switch as stopping the habit, right?
Right.
So that, and I think that's why it's very easy for a lot of things to compound. Well, and you would know this. I remember get at one point getting told the statistic of on average how many times people try to stop smoking or kick their butts, right?
Yeah.
Butt
There's a
kickers.
new number now,
What is the new number?
30.
30. Wow. Yeah.
So think about how discouraged you get
Yeah.
at 28 tries,
Mm.
right?
Think of how discouraged you get at 5, let alone, let alone
Right?
28. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about that, the first thing I think of is the people in our world that are willing to, how few people in our world already are willing to face a certain amount of adversity over and over and over again and actually get up and then be successful from that. And honestly, the people that come to mind the most are like professional athletes or, who are just like
Yes.
psychotic about it, and have
Right.
like, and have a genetic makeup to give them a certain level of mental toughness that most of us just wouldn't have, right?
Right.
Or don't naturally have to actively work on and get help from other people to work on.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, and then you add a layer of addiction on there, right? Because these people are again physically, mentally, and emotionally addicted to this tobacco and nicotine product, whatever, whether it is an actual cigarette or a cigar or chew or dip or whatever you want to call it. um
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot stacked against us there, isn't there?
Right, because it's not just if the substance itself was just the thing, and that's the only thing you had to deal with was that. But the other thing that you're getting is this over and over,
Mm,
touching that sense of touch here and the comfort that comes with that.
mm,
From right out of the gate. Think about breastfeeding, or think
yeah.
right, or just bottle feeding, or
Mhm.
any. That's how we took on nourishment from the time that we showed up, right? And
Mm,
so you associate that. No wonder people feel like, I've had people say, I feel like I'm going to die. I know this is irrational. I feel like I'm going to die of not smoking rather than die of smoking.
mm,
You can see if you're a pack a day smoker, you do this about 200 times a day. That's about how many times a day you're dosing. That's a dose.
wow. Yeah.
So, and then add all the chemicals in there too, and everything that they've put in to make it more compelling,
Mm,
right?
mm,
It's it's
yeah.
a lot. It's a lot to overcome. It's a lot to change,
Yeah.
right?
And then my mind goes to the people that are using it, um because I don't want a blanket statement and say all smokers do this, but the people that are also then using it as a coping mechanism too, right? So that
Absolutely.
tactile response of touching your lips with your fingers and the whatever it is that you're smoking, and the reason that you're doing that on top of all of those things you just laid out, you also have that psychological component that that
Yes.
goes that goes even deeper. So you have all those almost like emotional, biological things you just brought up, and then
Yes.
and then we stack the psychological component of the
Mhm.
coping mechanism, the getaway, so to speak.
Yeah.
Some of us do that with our phones, maybe, right? So
Mhm.
there are
And
different
sometimes
ways.
it's both. You got to both go at once,
Exactly.
right?
And somehow figured out how to hold a cup of coffee in the morning. It's amazing. But it's there are a
There's some
lot of different
juggling going on there.
there's a lot of different ways to do this. But yeah, that makes it really, really, really hard. And again, if you have, at a minimum, it sounds like, well, maybe not a minimum, because I know 30, the number 30 times of trying to stop smoking is kind of an average, right? It's not,
Right,
that's not what it's going to take for everybody. But an
right.
average means that if 30 is the average, that means some people are like above that,
Hmm.
right? And some
Yes,
people are below that. So the range might be between like 20 and 50 times, right? Like,
right.
so when you already have somewhere around 20 to 50 hurdles that you're going to have to
Hmm.
overcome to get through this, and that doesn't even probably account for the psychological and emotional uh
Right.
side of things. um or the ways that you go about stopping smoking probably don't always account for those things.
Hmm.
That's that's daunting.
Yeah.
And I think I like, as we're saying this, it kind of brings me back to one of my more favorite examples from your book here. It was the story of the fighter pilot. I think it was
Hmm.
the start of one of your chapters, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly,
Hmm.
who really did a great job. But again, even when I read that story, it blew my mind that going through. So for those listening, I don't want to be a spoiler. I think everyone should read
Yeah,
the
it's all right. Go ahead. Yeah.
and read it for themselves. But basically, this fighter pilot did all this training, felt really confident, and then when it was time to use that training, it was getting really, really fearful. Right.
Hmm.
Even no matter how confident he felt in training, was getting really fearful to actually go do a mission,
Yeah.
and made the decision to um treat it as an adventure. Right. Am I getting
Yes.
that
Hmm.
right? And it took him, and I don't remember if it says exactly in the book. I don't remember how many times he's attempted to stop smoking, but um it seems like that would be a story that would stick out very well to you. If you're
Hmm.
the type of if you're the person who made a conscious decision to treat this thing that scares the crap out of you as an adventure, and how empowering that was, and how it took him reflecting on that years and years later to leverage that to stop smoking. That right
Yeah.
there kind of shows you how difficult this can be, and why a resource like other people's stories like that, and the mindset shifts, and all the other great things that your book helps people out with, can be what people need. To that variety of things is what people need to
Yes.
actually break through.
Yeah, we need each other. We need to hear from each other. We need to hear how somebody else wrapped their brain around it, right? We need to hear those lived experiences so that we can then say, "Oh, well,
Mm,
maybe I don't buy into that what they said 100%, but maybe some aspect of what they just said is resonant for me.
mm,
Like that feels like, oh, that kind of clicks for me. I think I could apply that to my own process. So
yeah.
yeah, we need those stories, those, and and also hearing, of course, of other people's success to
Mm.
say, oh, well, damn, if he can do it, like 2019, Keith Richards stopped
Sure,
smoking.
sure.
What?
Yeah.
We're all out of excuses now. Nobody's got an excuse anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure how he's still alive after stopping smoking.
I know.
I wonder, at a certain point it must have been keeping him alive, but he's clearly is doing something well. But
We
no,
don't know what's keeping him alive.
no,
He's
he's
an
probably
extraordinary
pickled.
being.
He's probably, well, we were talking about genetic anomalies with athletes there a little bit ago. I think he's a bit of a genetic anomaly personally.
I think you're probably right about that.
um yeah, and that was again, that was one of the things that sort of stuck out to me about this process of butt kickers here, that you sort of laid out. Is it is sort of that combination of, and this is my interpretation, so correct me if I'm wrong, and I really want to hear your side of this too, but to me it was this combination of good sound, like information,
Mhm,
things that scientifically we know work, because
mhm,
that's important here, right? Because of
mhm.
again, physical, mental, and emotional aspects of what we're trying to accomplish with butt kicking.
Mhm.
Good sound science, pro tips from someone who's done it, and then a variety of stories that are both a vehicle to give advice while simultaneously inspiring from a group of people who have done it in a lot of different ways and are even in very different parts of their journey. Am I
Yeah.
am I in the ballpark on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's a great summary. Yeah, because we need science, we need art, and we need each other.
Yeah.
So paying attention to words, paying attention to best practices and knowing what those best practices are,
Hmm.
and tuning into the the shared experiences that and the experience of not being alone in it too, because let's face it, it can be a lonely journey if you're not connected with other people in the process.
Yeah.
Because to me, one of the best things about the process too is that as soon as you start to get a little bit of headway, you have an opportunity to share it with somebody else and to
Right.
say, this is what I learned. I'm only this far along. I was 1 month into the process when somebody came to me and said, would you be, essentially a mentor for me in this process? I said, I've only been doing this for a month. And I pointed to this other woman who had been, a whole year without smoking, a year of
Mm.
smobriety. And I said, talk to her. And she said, I can't even relate to her. She said, but I can tell that you're still struggling. And the fact that you have a whole month is just like, how did you do that? And so that was a place. So even that early on, I was still able to help somebody else in her process too.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
yeah,
Well, I mean, good for that person to have the wherewithal to go, that right there seems impossible right now. Heck, 1 month seems impossible right now.
right.
I think hearing that story that you and that person were very much meant to meet so that you could help each other through those journeys. Cause I'm
Yeah,
sure at 1 month, it felt pretty darn good to hear someone say, I feel like what you've done over this past 30 days feels darn near impossible to do.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that,
It
that was
felt
probably,
great. It
that was,
and
that
it
was a good
felt
tip.
great to be able to help somebody else when
Mm,
I was, still feeling pretty shaky. I
mm.
felt more steady by sharing what I'd learned.
Yeah,
It's steadying, right?
yeah, yeah. No, that's fantastic. So aside from the book here, Joanna, I know this from a previous conversation we've had, but talk to me a little bit about what you're doing right now and ways that you're still helping people aside from having written this book and getting this information out to people. How are you currently helping people become butt kickers like yourself?
Well, one of the things that I do and have been doing ever since I started down this path in 2009, 2010, is I encourage people to connect with me on social. And
Mm,
so I'm on Facebook and Facebook Messenger. I am on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn.
mm,
And I'm happy to have people reach out to me because what I can do is share free resources.
mm,
Because there is, just like there is a 12-step program for stopping drinking for sobriety, there's also a 12-step program for smobriety and stopping smoking and vaping or dipping, chewing, whatever form it might take for that
mm,
individual. So being able to share that resource and being able to share things like the tapping as well.
mm,
I have a little video that I did with a group of students. Oh God, it was so much fun to work with them. They were international students from all over the world who were studying in Washington State, where I was living at the time. And
mm.
their advisor came to me and said, I got a bunch of students who've got skills and they need internship experience. Can I send you a few? I said, send me as many as you have. And she sent me these really great gifted students who worked with me in creating this video to demonstrate how to do tapping. And
Mm,
tapping is it's free, it's in your own hands. And so I can share that. I can
mm,
share information about mutual support community and and there'll be more to come, but that's the best place for people to connect with me beyond the book. And I'm also getting ready to do an audiobook. I think I've found a local studio where we're going to be able to get that done. And so Butt Kickers will be, besides being in print form, it'll also be in audio form too. Because not everybody wants to sit and read a book. Some people want to just tune in that way.
Sure. Fantastic. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, where can people find Butt Kickers if they want to check out your book currently?
Well, if they want it free, they can go to their library and say, would you please order this book, and ask to get the book in. So they can go to a place like Amazon, grab the ISBN code from there, and then give that to the librarian and say, would you order this book in for me? And they can do that. This book has been cataloged through WorldCat, and so they can get it for free there.
Awesome.
I love libraries. I mentioned that. They can also purchase it anywhere that fine books are sold. So the book is available through a distribution network called Ingram Spark. And so they can just, any bookstore can go into Ingram Spark, order the book in for that person. So that's a great way to support small independent bookstores. Like we've got some wonderful ones right here in Maine and anywhere else that people are listening to your podcast.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, and we'll make sure that we have all of your social media and stuff like that, and take some of the contact info and information from the book and make sure we put that in the show notes as well, so that people can very easily access that.
Okay.
Fantastic. So I have got 2 more questions here for you, Joanna.
Okay.
And I think these are the questions we were talking about before recording that I ask everybody on the podcast. So here we go. What is your definition of strength?
Wow, that's a great question. I think that strength is, I heard this expression recently as somebody shared with me, and I might have a different answer at a different point in time, but I wrote these words down when I heard them, is rooting, like dropping your roots, and rising. Rooting and rising, that combination. You think about what it means to do that, and how important it is in order to be able to rise, to be able to sink. Like the higher you want to rise, the more important it is to root in support, to root in guidance, to root in, if you're a tree, you'd be rooting in rich, abundant soil, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so to root as well as you can, find that network of support, find the best nourishment you can find, literal and figuratively speaking, and rising from there. I think that's what strength looks like. Yeah,
I love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think I really needed to hear that, so thank you. That's awesome. And the second question here is, what is your true purpose in life?
Oh, I just, there are a few things that I can think of that give me more joy. I think joy is definitely part of what we're here for. I think that to celebrate these incredible human bodies that we live in, and to both experience joy within them and then share it out from there. And the joy the joy that's the strongest for me is when I have a chance to make a difference in somebody else's life. Like when somebody comes back to me, like a person did the other day on Messenger, and said, I'm celebrating a whole year without tobacco or nicotine, and I've never met her.
Wow. And
I've just been able to like cheer her on and support her journey through social media, and be a witness for her growth. And I remember when she was earlier on in the process and said that, I feel like that's what I'm here to do. And I think that's how we know what we're here to do is what lights us up. When you feel lit up, when you feel fired up, and you just feel like, oh, this is me at my best, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, I want to thank you and commend you for living your true purpose, because by doing so, you are helping a ton of people. And I love what you've done with the book here, Butt Kickers. I'm going to show it up here one more time for all the people in YouTube land. Butt Kickers, go and check it out. Support your local bookstore, go to your local library and get this in. I encourage everybody, because I think there's stuff in here, even if you're not, if you heard this and you are someone who's also passionate about helping people, or you know someone in your life who's maybe trying to do this, being a person that is a butt kicker to help someone else be a butt kicker. I think this is a good book for those people as well. So thank you so much, Joanna, for this, for your time here, for writing the book, and for living your true purpose.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks so much again. And just in closing, just to say, I really want people to hear it, that I am not anti-tobacco. I'm pro-freedom. That's really what this is about. It's all about freedom and about living life the way that we choose to live it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again for this opportunity. You
Of
rock.
course. Well, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone out there for listening. Go check this out. All the other information you need to learn more about Joanna and Butt Kickers is in the show notes. And we'll see you back here next time on the Strength for Your Purpose podcast. Bye, everybody.